If you guys are looking for any cheap and reliable coins, check out MMOPO.com. Use the code PINGU at checkout to get 8% off. Guys, welcome to number 8 of the Next Gen Bolton career mode at the start of this episode. We do have the game against Colchester to start off this episode. Ideally, I want to get into January in this episode and potentially look to make a signing at the end of it, of course. We might consider simulating a couple, but we'll have to wait and see. As you can see at the minute, we're 6 points off the playoffs, and yeah, I like the, I don't want to just be at top of the table throughout these career modes on this road to glory. I'd rather make it quite realistic, and the occasional loss is, it's quite nice just to mix things up and give us a challenge. So, yeah, first game is against Colchester. Then we have Leyton Orient, Oldham, Carlisle, and Crawley. I'm not too sure who's the easiest team. Basically, I just look and see who the easiest team in the episode, and then we just simulate against them. And it might actually be Colchester. I think it is Colchester, yeah. So I think we'll simulate the first game of the episode. It's a little bit odd, but just gets us through. And then I can just play those 3 or 4 games towards the end of December. And yeah, we should get the FA Cup game round of 2 draw pretty soon as well. Lapsley with the goal there to make it 1-0 just before the 20th minute mark. I don't really know anyone in their team, as always. Yeah, it's one of those where once we get into League One and Championship, I'll know much more of the players. Then we do score a goal with Ismail in the last 5 minutes to equalise and potentially get a point. As long as we get a point against Colchester, I'm more than happy. It is an away game, to be fair, so I think what I should really do is probably simulate home games and play away, because generally they're the more difficult ones. Yeah, we did this one just because it was obviously the lowest in the table. And there's Volta, we do get the point. And yeah, now we can just go into the next 3 games and play them and hopefully pick up 9 points. That's the ideal, of course. Also, I want to see, I'm sure I played, does it not count if you bring them off the bench? On simulations, it seems to not. Yeah, I'm just trying to see where the FA Cup second round game is, because obviously we beat Accrington Stanley. I still haven't actually had time to go through the training sessions and put them up to an A grade. But we do have a few scout reports here. We do have Beda the winger, Beavers, and Josh Veyer. Obviously Veyer's not a bad one, 64 rated, about what we have already. Obviously used to play for Bolton. Decent stamina and aggression, of course, and he's a good rounded player. Maybe as a good backup. We also have Beda here, the winger, who is 64 rated, pretty good pace actually, about 84. Since he's only 19, I'm sure he can grow plenty of ratings. But yeah, we've got a few wingers here that we could potentially look at in January, obviously, which is just around the corner. And Mark Beavers is 31. Not the best pace at 50, but it's acceptable. Literally 50, probably the lowest I'll go. 85 strength is ridiculously good, and yeah, in terms of tackling, very good indeed. And overall, I think that's pretty good. So we do get 60,000 for the FA Cup and a couple of matches rescheduled there. So I assume that is the FA Cup game, and we do actually get Politic back quite early. I'm sure it was meant to be like mid-January that we're meant to get him, but we're in mid-December and we've managed to get him back. So slightly earlier than expected, which is of course good, but I'm not too sure if I can actually play him. I think I have to put him into training to get him back up to match sharpness or something. That's how the injury system works now. But what I want to see is who we have in the FA Cup next round, and it is Crewe, and I'm sure that's the 3rd round, because you play the 3rd, unless they play the 2nd round literally the week before the 3rd. That's the only thing I can think of. Or is it the 3rd round already? I can't remember, honestly. Oh, it is the round of 3. So we could have had quite a big team in an Everton or a Premier League team, basically. But we've managed to end up with Crewe, who don't actually have a goalkeeper because we signed Jaskalainen from them, of course. So it might be quite a relatively easy game when we go into round 4. Did we not play round 1? Is that what happened there? Yeah. So how does it work with the round 1? And I don't quite understand. Obviously it's different because they can't put non-league teams into the FA Cup on FIFA. But we went in on the 2nd round, beat Accrington, of course. So yeah, we're through to the third round. I guess that's something completely. I don't know. I just thought, I assumed we went in at round 1, but yeah, next game is against Leyton Orient, who are just below us in 16th. Obviously, we're on 32 points at the minute. A win for them would put us, on level points with them, and ideally we need to win this game to get back up into the playoffs. Currently a 6-point gap still, so ideally I want to get 9 points from our 3 games that we do play in this episode. Yeah, I don't know if I can put Politic onto the bench, but then I don't know if I can actually. I kind of want to just start him, because then I know he can play, whereas if you bring him off the bench, sometimes it says, oh, this player's injured, you can't bring him on. It does seem to work, but I don't really want to just start him because of that 0 sharpness. Ideally, I want to bring him off the bench. But we'll give it a go. I guess we'll put him on the bench. Maybe have patched it and fixed it. But yeah, we can potentially bring him off the bench and get his match sharpness back up. Here we are then for the evening kickoff against Leyton Orient. Relatively decent team in League 2. They have got. I'm trying to think who they have in their team. I think we played them early on in the season, to be honest. But I honestly can't name a single one of those players. Don't know any of them at all. And as always, kind of going in blind and seeing what we can do for this game. Chance here for Gunahua through the middle. Has he got the shot to find the back of the net? No, he doesn't. And that's the only negative of Arthur Gunahua, is probably the end product. It's just one of those where he should be hitting the target. I don't know how he's not. Chance here for Leyton in the box with the volley into the back of the net, and that kind of ball spin there was a little bit odd. And yeah, Wilkinson does put it into the back of the net to make it 1-0 in the 65th minute. And yeah, we have struggled in this game. Obviously, the injury to Arthur Gunahua has not been great, but that was weird. That was really weird from Connor Wilkinson to make it 1-0. But hopefully we can get back level. Obviously, it is an away game, so it's slightly more difficult. And we've not really been able to create anything. Chance here for Zikowski. It's a good ball. Has he got the finish though to make it level at 1-1 with the shot now? But I always knew that wasn't going to go in. He didn't quite have the pace to run through, and yeah, it's just, I don't know what I could have done. Maybe I could have finessed it into the near post, but I don't know. I just felt it was going to be a very tricky opportunity to score from. Chance here through the middle for Angol. Back to. It's honestly, it's like playing against Barcelona at times, this game is. It's like, how have they done that there? You would have never thought, oh, we'll pull it across here for number 44 and put it into the back of the net to make it 2-0, and that's pretty much the game over at that point. We could have potentially made it 1-1 with Zikowski, but yeah, Leyton Orient aren't going to get the win, and I don't know, honestly, just my players just feel really sluggish this game in particular. Chance here through the middle, goes into the back post to Zikowski, into the back of the net with 2 minutes to go. It is a little bit overpowered, those crosses into the box, but we literally have one attack. I'm just going to whack on team press and hopefully we win the ball back, but we literally only have seconds, literally seconds, if we can manage to get the ball off them. But I don't think we're going to be able to in the time that is remaining, and unfortunately we have lost the game 2-1, which is really unfortunate because that other chance for Zikowski really was the difference. And we've had a couple in this game where my players should be scoring, but they've completely missed the target, and that's what cost us that game. Just really poor finishing in the end. Next game is against Oldham. They are down in 19th. It is a home game, and as you can see, with that loss against Leyton Orient, we have gone down to 15th in the table. And yeah, the gap is, it's up to 39 points now, so we're 7 points away now from the playoffs. And ideally, I want to win, the next 3 games, but with the fact that there's a very short turnaround, it's going to be very difficult to get results. There is a little bit of a gap between the Crawley game and the FA Cup game, which obviously I want to win to get us money for January. Yeah, we're in a bit of a. There's still a lot of games left in the season. There's no doubt about it. We played Salford at home last game of the season. I'm sure we played first game of the season. Did we? I can't remember who we played first game. No, it was Mansfield. We did play them earlier. I think, yeah, that was our first win of the season against Salford, away from home. So yeah, let's go into the next game against Oldham. Should be a relatively easy game to win, hopefully at home, of course. Not too sure what his politics fitness is looking like. Unfortunately, I forgot to put him on the actual bench, so he didn't get any training sharpness. Just kind of frustrating that it kind of works like that, but we have had a bit of growth, I think. 2 years growth, gone to a 66, which is good to see. Also, Buchanan going to a 66 as well, and Delaney to a 66 as well. So yeah, it's just nice to see players are developing. Obviously, Arthur Gunhu is not going to develop because of his age, but it's an area we can look at in January. Maybe for the home game, hopefully we can get the 3 points and put us a bit higher in the table. They do have. I do actually remember, I think row up front's quite decent. David Wheater, former Bolton defender, I believe, and Cameron Bosworth-Jackson, former Manchester United left back. But all in all, I think that's about it for this team. As always, I might know a couple, but if that, yeah, that's literally all I do know. Yeah, we 100% need to win this game because we're down in 15th now, and you don't really want to be going much lower than that. Obviously, there was a time when we played the 5 at the back where we really did struggle, but I'm hoping with January transfers, it just improves the quality of the team and makes us much stronger. I think ideally another striker would be good, and I don't know if maybe changing to a 4-2-3-1 might help us a little bit as well, because then I can get rid of a couple of strikers at the club that we don't need. Chance here for Rowe in the box, back to Rowe, into the back of the net, and there is 1-0 to Oldham. They do kick off the scoreline in the 10th minute, and it is Rowe, the striker, who I did say was a bit of a threat. And yeah, defensive, I'm just really, really poor, and I'm thinking a 4-2-3-1 will definitely help that. I don't know if can I do it in this game. I might be able to actually, because it's whether we've got a cam in the team. That's the only question. Obviously, I'll just convert these two to centre mids for the time being. Gunhu says he can play there, but I'd rather go. I think Zakowski's a bit more of a cam. We could do it, I guess. Or I could go Ismail at cam. That might be the shout, actually. Yeah, we'll go for that, and I guess just try something a little bit different. Obviously, defensively, we're not being, we're the worst team in the league at the minute, and ideally, we do need to change that if we are going to be better. Chance here through the middle for Zakowski. Can he get a goal to make it 1-1? That's the ideal outcome, but it's straight to the keeper, but the rebound goes straight back to him, luckily. And a little bit of luck for us, which is not being very common this season. And he does rub on the goalkeeper to go into the back of the net to make it 1-1. And hopefully the change in formation, I think in terms of, I don't know, this is the formation that won me the Champions League and the Premier League with Derby, so I assume it's very overpowered. And at the minute, we kind of need to use something a little bit more stronger if we are going to get out of this division. And obviously it means Darcy could play a little bit more in this system, and you see, like, we're getting chances already just by having the cam. Ball like it is Grove. Can he get through and potentially score a goal to make it 2-1 just to end off the first half? Gets into a dangerous area with the shot, and there we go. That is a lovely time to get us into the lead, and literally on the stroke of half time we are going into the lead. And yeah, I must say the 4-2-3-1 I think is what we should do, because what I'm finding with the 4-4-2, I like Crawford and Sarcevic, but because we don't have a cam, we have to commit one of them, and then obviously that gap forms in behind them on the counter-attack. And I think by playing, essentially 3 in the middle, it just makes us much better defensively, and it kind of means we don't have to sign a striker because we have plenty of strikers at the club already, and it's a case of selling Delfonso, Doyle, and probably just keep Lafferty until the end of the season. And it might work a little bit better for Lafferty, this system, by playing with a single striker. I don't know if Doyle would be any good in this system, but I think all in all, obviously, it means Darcy can go cam quite easily. So yeah, I think in terms of maybe just looking for another cam, because we've only really got Darcy at the club. And maybe a holding midfielder. I think that might be something we could look at, because obviously both of these are kind of similar. They're both about 29, 28, and they're very similar in stats. There's literally it's like they've just duplicated the same player. Obviously Crawford's slightly more faster and slightly better at shooting, but there's not really anything to really put between them. So I'll switch with the ball. Chance for Zakowski. It's a really nice run from him. Can he score to make it 3-1 and just give us that extra bit of cushion, there we go. And yeah, that should hopefully be the 3 points for this game, which we desperately need to put us up the table and towards that playoff spot. Of course, ideally I was looking to be in the playoffs by the end of December, but I don't think we're going to be able to do that with those recent losses that we have picked up. And yeah, I guess it just makes it more down to the wire. With the Derby career mode, I kind of felt never in a doubt that I was going to get promoted, and they nearly do score there. But yeah, it'd be nice to be actually in a playoff race that goes all the way to the end of the season to potentially get into the playoffs, because it just means every game is important. Darcy with the ball here, a lot of space to run into. Can he get himself a goal to make it 4-1? Into the box now with the shot, and there we go. Definitely going to 4-2-3-1. Literally the difference is night and day between the 4-4-2 and the 4-2-3-1. And now it's about just making sure, I think it's actually quite good for the squad we have as well, because it means we get rid of some of the older strikers that are on quite a bit of money, to be fair, and then basically just look at where we need to improve. And in fairness, we've got Comley to play CDM, who hasn't played too much, and he's quite decent and young. He might be, I don't know, we could potentially look at a centre-back. I think that might be one area we could improve slightly, but it's one of those with playing Ultimate Difficulty, it's kind of difficult to know whether it is your players or just the difficulty that you play. There we go, full time against Oldham. We do win the game 4-1, and I must say we have to go to the 4-2-3-1 now that we, kind of did that once we went 1-0 down and completely changed the course of the game. Obviously it'll mean we'll look to sell strikers, and I think, we've got a lot of strikers that are on a lot of money, so financially it's probably the best thing to do for us going forwards. And as you can see, we have moved up to 10th on 35 points, currently still I think 7 points, 7 points off the playoffs. So if you look at the gap between us and top of the table Crawley, there's 20 points, so ideally we need to be in those top 3 spots, but we'll have to wait and see whether we can start that chase or not. But yeah, I think the 4-2-3-1 makes a lot of sense, because defensively we've not been great, and I think this just helps out a lot. Obviously Crawford can also go cam as an option, but I think I could actually do that actually, yeah. And they maybe put Comley in, because he's quite decent at 66 rated. He's actually better rated than the 2 centre mids that I've got already. So yeah, we'll look at something like that, I think, for the time being, because I do quite like Crawford. Just convert these to right mids and left mids, and then we'll go for something like that, I think. Or we can do what we did in the previous game, put Ismail at cam and then Ginhua out on the left, who can do a job there, of course. One thing I do need to do is the players that we are potentially losing on freeze. The problem is they'll probably just get pre-contracts at the end of the season, so we're kind of stuck with them until then, unless we do something with them, and I really can't do much with them. Maskell's the only one that I might be tempted to extend, and Sonny Graham, but even then they're not phenomenal. I guess Maskell's decent at 62 rated, it's $500,000, I don't really want to get rid of that amount of money, so let's go negotiate his contract. Obviously it won't increase too much. He's looking for a rotation role, I'll accept that, and yeah, obviously we could always sell him like either in January or at the end of the season if we get a better left back, but as a backup he's perfectly fine for the time being. And yeah, hopefully he doesn't want too much of a raise in wages. We'll just give him a 20k bonus, and as you can see we've literally got not much left to potentially extend anyone else's contract, so that's why I've kind of left it until the last second, just to kind of have an understanding. Jilks is 38, and I doubt anything's going to happen with him. Lafferty will let go on a free. Obviously he is worth $500,000, but at 33 not really that bothered. I'm kind of tempted to bring up this Graham guy or Hickman just because of their age, so we'll go for Graham first, just because he's on cheaper wages and hopefully we have enough to afford him. Does want a sporadic role, so we'll accept that. I'm hoping he comes in with the wage offer, because I'm not 100% sure what to offer him. but hopefully it's around that 800 mark, and then that way we can keep him at the club. So we'll go for that, plus what can I offer realistically? I can offer quite a bit actually. I'll go for 15k, and hopefully he does accept that. And there we go. That's it means we don't lose him on a free. And I think that's all I can really do with the money that we do have. Hickman's worth like 300k, but he is on 1500 a week. So it's one of those where you have to decide whether it's worth the finances or not. But yeah, next game is against Carlisle, who are in the playoffs, so a win against them would help us out a lot. And now that we are playing this 4-2-3-1, yeah, we should find some more better results. I was going to put Comley in, but I think because of the match sharpness, we'll slowly bring him into the team. And obviously it means Darcy might get a few more chances playing. Here we are then against Carlisle at Crown Lane, and yeah, as I said, they are in the playoffs, so they should be quite decent. And yeah, looking at their team, they're playing a 4-3-3. I don't think that's Ryan Bennett from... No, he's at Swansea now, so it's not that Ryan Bennett. Devine rings a bell, and they do have Callum Guy, former Derby player, in the midfield. Somebody I might consider looking at in January. Obviously, same league as us and quite young, but yeah, all in all, I'm hoping we can get 3 points now that we have gone to this new formation. It should make us a little bit better. Isgrove into Zakowski, now into Ismail, across to Crawford, back inside. Can he slip it into Isgrove to get the goal to make it 1-0? Good save from the keeper, and those kind of chances, once Politic is up to match sharpness, will be put into the back of the net. But yeah, we're currently 10 points off third, which isn't a massive gap with the amount of games that we do have left, but still a big enough gap to be a bit of a concern. Now into Ismail. Can he slip in Zakowski? Can indeed. Can he find the back of the net to make it 1-0? Good shot, good goal, and there we go. 20 minutes in, Zakowski is the man to find the back of the net. He is like 6 foot tall, so I think in this system he's more than tall enough, and since he is like 19, it's probably worth playing him, and either we sell him for a massive amount of profit or he scores us a lot of goals. It's a win-win situation. Obviously we've got Arthur Gunhur as well, who is out on the left at the minute, but I might rearrange things once Isgrove is back, once Politic is back, and obviously Politic could be the one that plays down the middle. So yeah, either a new winger or basically an attacking midfielder is what we probably need in January, or a bit of a different striker. I think most fans would be pretty happy with this man's well, it is Grove. So he's got the pace, but has he got the finish to find it to make it 2-0? There we go. He has scored and put us into a pretty nice, comfortable position now. 2-0 up against Carlisle. Really does make the difference, and I'm gonna, because we have a game in 2 days' time, obviously just trying to rest up players for that game. Just trying to see who's got. Yeah, we'll go Sarcevic and then bring Ismail off. But I think we'll also bring off Gunhur. But I'll probably just keep Zakowski on until the end, and then maybe go Gunhur up top for the next game, just because it is such a short turnaround. We don't really have the time for it, but I do need to change it back to that. It's the only thing about putting players in is when they're a different position. It's like, I don't know, you could bring this guy back and make him a centre mid, bring him forward, sorry, make him a centre mid like that. But you can't go back to a CDM unless you switch it back to the formation, which really doesn't make much sense from EA. They should just make it where certain areas have certain positions, and then that way you can get everyone on basically full chemistry. Yeah, I think I like this formation a little bit more because it gets Comley and Darcy involved, whereas in the previous 4-4-2 you kind of had to change the shape of it to get them in. But Darcy has a chance here to make it 3-0. Does find the back of the net, and that is an instant super sub to basically ensure we get the 3 points in this game against Carlisle. Very tough team, of course, on Christmas Eve. A very good game indeed to win, and yeah, hopefully the final game of the season gets us another 3 points, and potentially then we'll only be a point off the playoffs. Transfer through the middle for Darcy. Can he wrap up the game in the final minute with an extra goal just to help out goal difference? Yes, he can, and I might be tempted to play him a little bit more, you know. I think he's been really effective when I have played with him. Obviously he's 60 rated at the minute and could do with being a little bit higher, but the only way to get him higher was really to play him, so it might be a case of putting him in since he is so young. Obviously have that short term, not as a strong player, but once you get to those ratings it's kind of worth the time. As you can see, we are now just below the playoffs, still, you know, a 7-point gap, but at least we're knocking on the door. You know, Carlisle have dropped down to 7th now, and hopefully with a few more wins we can potentially get us into the playoffs. Final month of the year then, it is against Crawley, who are top of the table, so it is a very tough game indeed. And yeah, ideally I think I'm not going to really have the chance to make signings in this episode, unfortunately. But obviously it'll give you guys a bit more time to suggest some players, since we're about to go into the January transfer window. Yeah, I don't know what we really need, to be honest. Just trying to think off the top of my head. You know, like, ideally I want Chris Martin, because he's a wonderful player. Maybe even a Craig Bryson, that's a pretty good shout as well. You know, there's a few players here that would definitely help us get promoted. It's just the whether. It's basically deciding whether you want something young and you can develop it, or something that's older and ready to go straight away. But I'm hoping, because it is January, we can look to make some loan signings. That's probably what I'm going to look to do, but it kind of does depend. Really does depend on what finances we do have. So we'll play this game against Crawley to finish off the month of December. We do need to make a couple of changes due to fitness. We'll put Comley in, which does mean we have to change the formation back and then move Sarcevic and the two wingers. Here we are then for the game against Crawley Town. They are top of the table, so it is surely going to be a tough game today. And yeah, looking at their team, they are playing a 4-4-2. I think, have we played them 3 times this season? Did we play them in like the... Yeah, we did, didn't we? We played them in the Papa John's Trophy, where I want to say they equalised in the last minute, but it didn't matter anyway because we still got the point. But I could be wrong. They've got Jake Hesketh and Nadzian up top, very good striker. Bullman in the midfield, very old but still very good. And Tunnicliffe at the back, also good. So yeah, obviously top of the table. They are very good at the minute, but I think with this 4-2-3-1, you know, we found Carlisle very easily. So hopefully we get the same outcome today against Crawley. Who with the ball into Darcy. Now with the chance to shoot into the back of the net, and Darcy has found the breakthrough. I thought I'd start him in this game because, you know, you got to try him at some point, and it's definitely paid off and has got us into the lead in the first 5 minutes. Really good start for the young attacking midfielder. Really good attacking positioning actually to make that run, and somehow finds the back of the net with his weaker foot to make it 1-0. Chance to through the middle for Gunhua. I don't know what their defence is, honestly. Their defence has been absolutely shocking in the first few minutes, and there's 2 in the 10th minute. Literally at the minute we're scoring a goal every 5 minutes, and yeah, with a 2-goal advantage now, it does make the world of difference. And nice way to end off the year, I guess, with a couple of wins against 2 very tough teams. And it's kind of weird because, like, against Leyton Orient, which we lost, they're like down in 16th, 17th, and we found that game really difficult. But against the teams at the top, we found it relatively easy. I'd love to know why that is, but it is what it is. And yeah, we're 2-0 up against top of the league. A lot of space here for Comley. I honestly, what are Crawley's defence doing? I'm going to slip it into Gunhua, and it's like the difficulty is on like amateur, and I'm just running through them. I don't quite understand why. I don't know if it's because of the match sharpness. That's the only thing I can think of. Crawley's, because we've played like 3 games in 6 days, the AIs, if you look at their fitness compared to mine, you know, I've got a good 20 more fitness than most of their players, and that's the only thing I can really think of. And I think I've seen that a few times throughout career mode. Like, basically, you'll play against a team with no fitness and find it rather easy. Chance here through the middle for Sarcevic. Can he get the goal to make it 4? And I think if I make it 4, I might be tempted to simulate the rest, because there's not really much of a point in playing when we get into these high score lines. So if I go into jump to sim, Obviously, if it gets to like 4-2, I can jump back in. And as you can see, I think the reason we are doing so well is because of the fitness of Crawley. You know, they've got nothing really. Their left back is completely dead already. So I think that's why we're finding it rather easy this game, which is obviously good for us, and it does mean I could probably rest players for the next game. And there's 5-0 in the final minute for Politic, just coming off the bench and getting some fitness for him again. And yeah, against top of the league we have won 5-0, and hopefully we're only 4 points off the playoffs now with this win, going into January of course, where we can reinforce the team even more. And I don't know what I can really do in terms of signings to make the team better. Obviously we can, but it's one of those where which position do I pick basically. It's literally I could pick anywhere to really improve. I will simulate by one day just to see what we've got for the transfer window. Obviously we've got a few players leaving the club, being sold, and players being recalled, so we might have a bit of a thinner squad, to be frankly honest, so we'll have to wait and see. Both White and Kyoso have been recalled. Billy Crenlin's expired as well, and as you can see, you know, I'm going to actually have a look how many we've got on the reserves, because we might not actually have. You see, it's a lot less than what it was before. And yeah, ideally I want to get rid of like Miller, Delafinesso and Doyle and Lafferty probably, now that we are playing this system. I don't think they're going to need them. Doyle's okay, but I think because of his age and because he's on, I think he's the highest earner at the club, you know, to sit him on the bench isn't really, you know, I can't really justify it, so we will transfer list him. Obviously Lafferty is expiring at the end of the year. Who else? Delfonso, obviously, again, already transfer listed him. Miller I can't get rid of because of his contract. So yeah, I think for this season we're in a little bit of trouble because of the wages of some of the players. But once we get into the next season, you know, we're gonna have a really thin squad and exactly what we need basically. I'm almost tempted to list Taft as well, because we don't need Taft and the other centre back Greenidge, and I guess it's a bit of money we could potentially look to make if we do sell them, of course. And that's the thing we basically need to look to do now, is just generate money from players that we aren't using. If we just look at what we've got in terms of finances and, you know, value of my players, as you can see, Politic has gone up by 90%, up to 1.9 million. Does only have 1.5 years left in his contract, so I might extend that at the end of the year. 64% increase on Buchanan, 40% on Jääskeläinen, 54 on Sesu and Cambo, 33, 45. You know, Jones hasn't really played and he's gone up by 45%, so maybe someone I could look to play a little bit more in this system. You know, I could put Sesu and Cambo at CDM and Jones can go right back. So yeah, all in all, you know, there's been a lot of increases and not really that many decreases. I don't know how Jilks has gone up 33% in value, even though he's 38, but we'll leave that there. And what I need to look for is, there we go. So we have got about 1 million. I will roll it over to, we'll call it 700,000, because once you get into the wages, obviously you need about 5k a week. So yeah, let me know what position do we really look to increase. I think I'm almost tempted to put Darcy in, and I'd say this might be my best team, maybe with Comley in for either Sarcevic or Crawford, and maybe Jones in for one of the centre mids and Sesu and Cambo at CDM. You know, there's a lot of things we could do with this team. Jääskeläinen has gone to a 68 as well, which is good to see him growing. So yeah, I honestly don't. I'm trying to put my finger on what we need in this team, and I don't really know, to be frankly honest. We can put Politic back on the bench now. He's up to nearly 20 fitness now. But you know, if we've got Gunhua to play either striker or out wide, plus Doyle can play striker, we don't really need a striker. We've got Darcy, you know, Ismail or Politic could go there as well, and Crawford. So it might be a centre back. That might be the position I could look at in this window, because I kind of like them. but I think we could get better centre-backs. So, yeah, let me know some centre-back options in the comment section down below. Hopefully I've rambled on for plenty of time now already. Another player that I've not really looked at as well is Greenwich, who I did use in the second team and was quite decent. Again, 24, 6'6", like that is actually ridiculous. Yeah, so it's one of those where literally we've got quite a few players and not really any of them are that good to get into the first team. So yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy this episode. Obviously we do have a lot of players on the shortlist, so in terms of signings we'll have to wait and see in the next episode what we do bring in. You know, maybe like a Paul Coots would do a great job until the end of the season as a holding midfielder, but obviously kind of a poor investment because all that money would just be gone when he does retire. So yeah, let me know. Honestly, I'm up for any suggestions for signings because I've kind of got a pretty good squad at the minute, and in terms of improvements, I'm not 100% sure where we need to do. So yeah, make sure you do leave a like if you did enjoy it, and see you soon. Bye.